The Hat Man used to come see me as a kid, along with this red aura Buddha sitting baby, talk of drugs and my mother feeding me them. Alright, so I recently found out about the Hat Man and wanted to share my story. Around when I was 5 or 6, my mom began feeding me Benadryl, adult Claritin, and NyQuil to make me go to sleep, basically whenever she wanted. At around 7, I developed sleep paralysis, I assume due to this. The first time I was visited by him, my heart sank and I panicked. I woke up in a sort of half dream, half awake state, laid on my back with this sense of fear in me. As I looked around, the room was oddly dark and I couldn't see much. As my eyes scanned the room, they suddenly stopped and locked onto my cracked door. As I focus and look closer at the door, my heart drops as I notice a very dark, black, almost void, like his concave, like there's a big dark pit of nothing, but it's simultaneously in him and I as him, with a sharp nose and a hat with a crisp straight brim and hat almost like a top hat, but not as big and wider. As I look at him, I try to let out a scream, but I couldn't. He stared at me for what felt like 10 to 15 minutes until I eventually became unparalyzed and he disappeared. The next night, as I went to bed, terrified, I slept for a bit and again woke up paralyzed in my dark room, and I went to scan the room again. As I scan the room, I don't see anything, but I feel as if I'm being stared into. As I get to the corner of my eye, I try to move my head for some time, and eventually my head tilts just enough to see directly beside me. As I look over, I see the same dark figure with the hat staring directly over me beside my bed. Terror filled my mind, and he slowly inched towards me, eventually getting about 2 inches from my face, and stayed there until I eventually gained control of my body, and he disappeared. The last story I have is weird. Again, nighttime, same room, same bed. I fall asleep a bit and wake up paralyzed. This time when I woke up, I felt as if I was suffocating, and as I raise my eyes to look down near my legs, I see a floating baby with a red aura around it, floating up and down and laughing. As I turn to the door, I see the Hat Man peering into my window, and as I notice him, the suffocating feeling gets stronger and stronger until I eventually jolt myself out of this state, and I'm again back in my empty room with no weird figures. TLDR, my mom used to give me Benadryl and other sleep drugs as a kid so I would fall asleep, and it made me see the Hat Man and a red aura'd baby.